Okay, welcome everyone. We're going to get going. I think a few more people are coming in person, but we'll start without them. Okay, good to see everybody. Hope you're all doing well, having a good week. I want to start the shiur by just wishing condolences to one of our chaverim, Yankov Fussberg, on the loss today of his father. Yehuda Aryeh ben Avram Chaim. Hashem is Neshama Shnev and Aliyah. And we will say today's shiur, Le'ilu Nishmasai. Okay, so we are in the story at the point where the Chochom and Tam have met, and we saw that the Tam came out with great simcha, ready to embrace the Chochom. And we understood that means that when we're living when we've tasted Tamimos already, we've tasted the sweetness of living a life of emunah and simcha and holy, nurturing simplicity, that it's going to happen that those waves of thoughts and the barrage of fears and of desires and plans and worries, all of those things will come back and they'll attack us. That's the return of the Chochom. So Rabbeinu told us that we're not afraid of that, and we don't get upset when it happens. Rather, we run ahead to greet it with simcha, with ahava, and knowing that we have the tools to be able to break through it. So and knowing, not only that, knowing that it's specifically when we find ourselves in such challenging situations, that is Hashem giving us exactly what we need, giving us an opportunity to really do something amazing in that difficult place, to really be able to accomplish my purpose, fix the things that only I'm able to fix. That's the reason that Hashem put me in such a difficult situation to begin with. To be able to draw the light of Hashem even into such a dark place is really the mission of the Jewish people. Is to bring light into darkness, to be an or lagoyim, a light to the nations. Right? So sometimes we're good at it and sometimes we're failing at it. But the story is telling us over here that when we start experiencing that place of darkness within our thoughts, and the Chachma is racing and chasing after us, that the first key is to say, okay, I'm here, this is what I'm made for. This is what I'm here for, and I'm going to deal with this, and I'm not worried, I'm not in a state of yush, of despair and giving up. Let's go. Okay, that's mostly what we spoke about in the last week. So now we're moving on a little bit, and we're saying like this. The story continues. And we said that it's crazy that the Chochom, who's very, very worried about image, and he has a super duper powerful ego, it's very surprising that he agrees to go together with this simplistic guy. The last thing we finished off with last time is that it appears to him like he's a crazy person. He's a weird guy. And the Chochom, who's very worried about appearances and ego and everything, he just goes along with him. It doesn't make sense. It's very unusual. So the story says, afal pikein, even so, machmas ahavas neurim hagadola shaya b'neihem haya mekarvoy, because of the tremendous love that they shared in their youth, he brought him close to him, and traveled with him into the city. Right? He traveled with him right into the city. He wasn't embarrassed somehow, he just went in. So let's see how we can understand this beautiful aspect of the Torah. There's some beautiful things over here. So says Rav Kivak, Rabbeinu Medayak loymar shekirboi hachacham machmas ha'ava shebeneurim. So Rabbi Nachman is telling us that the reason why he went together, welcome guys, why he went together with the Tam in this place, even though it didn't suit his level of status, is because of the ahava that they had in their youth. She'orer bazeh es ha'ahava shebadas. What are we referring to when we talk about this love of their youth? So he says, it's sure as ha'ahava shebadas, the love in one's das, one's intellect. We'll explain this a little bit shortly. La'aseh shalom ben ma'uraisav, to make peace amongst one's happenings. That's a very bad translation, but let's explain it, and hopefully we can understand it better. So first of all, das. We have to always remember that the word das is referring to a type of knowledge that is very deeply within a person. It's lived, it is felt. It's something that it's not an idea that we know in our head. It's an idea, or a better word is a consciousness that we really live with, that becomes part of us. This is what das means. And so what is the Chochom remembering? He's remembering a time when he had this concept so ingrained within him. He lived this concept. What's the concept? To make peace with everything that happens to me. To be able to bear everything that happens to me with a sense of meaning, with a sense of purpose. So he says, why? What's the story of here? Ki chein hu seder tit yoven machshavos hachacham, because this is what happens to the chacham in the thick cement of the mind of the chacham, the quicksand that traps a person in to the way of thinking of the chacham. What happens? Shagam kishemenech v'shetef mayim, when all those the thoughts are flowing, v'machshava is roidfim and chasing after us. Tzorich latzliach gam az lahachnis b'roishtoi rayon tamim. A person has to be successful at that point when it's really difficult to inject within his mind a thought of simplicity, a thought of purity, and to go into the city. What is it? Why is the Chochom coming back into the city? The city is the place where the most people are. The city is the place where he can make the biggest splash. The city is the place where his ego can benefit the most. Makoim his galus hakavod v'nasa im tam upelts, and he goes into the city together with the simpleton and his crummy fur jacket. Heich hiskim shahatzalamim yitzalbo isai im tam meshuga kazeh. How did he agree to go into the city in front of everybody with all, literally he's saying, with the paparazzi over here, with all of the photographers who are going to take pictures of him with this lowly, crazy person, right? Hare kilka loy bazeh es kol ha chasna. He's destroying the whole wedding ceremony over here. It's like, if you can imagine that I'm going to use a name from pop culture here that I don't know too much about, but I know enough to be able to use this name, right? It's like, imagine if Kim Kardashian went to, picked some guy off the street with old dirty clothes and, walked down the red carpet with that guy into wherever she was going. I don't know, right? Someone who really cares about appearance and who really cares about status and who really cares about the way they're perceived. And that person goes with it. What is he doing over here? How is the Chochom agreeing to go ahead with this? What's happening over here? Right? So deep down, it's because he remembers something. He has a memory of love, a memory of something deep and emotionally connective, a feeling of security, of this unbelievable idea of das. So let's see what he says. Ela Rabbeinu Masaper Bazeh. Rabbeinu is teaching us over here. Sheyesh lanu koyach pashut lakachas es hachacham ulevatlo velishbor es yisurav. We have the strength simply to take the Chochom, to take this whole construct, this whole difficulty that we have going on with ego and with everything we're dealing with over here, to break him down, to mevatel him, to nullify that whole existence, and to wipe out the suffering that goes along with it. How do we do it? Leikanes bekadilak shaloi, to go into the Chocham's Cadillac. Ubli ritzonai nishkach mikol hatzaris v'achachmas shaloi. And without his even wanting, and we can help him to forget, cause him to forget all of his pains, all of his wisdoms. Afilu shekol mahus knisasa lahir hu liknois kavod v'aracha. Even though the whole purpose of him going into the city is to make a splash, is to show his honor, is to build up his ego. Im kol zeh hakol nishkach. Everything can be forgotten. That whole thought process, that whole hanhaga, that whole behavior, that whole lifestyle can be forgotten and wiped out just like that. When we awaken this ahava shebadas, this love that is within the das. So I'm going to try now to do my best to explain how I understand this. So this helps, by the way, if you've ever heard of any concepts in psychotherapy, psychology, of the concept of inner child therapy, right? So, the general concept is, it's a good way to understand what we're talking about over here, I think. The general concept is that, like we said way back when, in the story of the lost princess, right? And we made a video at the beginning of learning this, where we said we all start out simple, right? We're all born, we still have the princess with us, right? We're still innocent and wide-eyed. We're excited about life. And we have a general feeling of goodness. We have a general feeling, assuming that we're in a somewhat stable home. We have a general feeling of security and stability. That little kid, right? That little child, 3 to 5 years old, whatever it is, in their house, with loving parents, there's a feeling of goodness. There's a feeling of security. There's a feeling of stability. There's a feeling of simplicity. Those little children like that, they're not like looking for the next way to make the most money in the world. They're not worried about anything, right? What do we used to say about the kids? What are they thinking about when they wake up in the morning? What are they worried about? Like we wake up in the morning and what are we thinking about? Oh my gosh, what day is it? What do I have to do? Okay, I have to do this, I have to do this. Oh my gosh, I have to go see this, I have to, all this stuff to do. Pay this bill, money, people, stress, worry, right? This is what we wake up with. A little kid wakes up in the morning and what are they thinking about? Nothing. They're thinking about whatever's going to be that day. That's it. What's going to happen today? They're excited about whatever is going to happen, right? Beautiful little wide-eyed children, so sweet. This is when they still have the princess. This is when they're still simple, right? And that feeling of appreciation of being alive, of just wanting to be involved in goodness, of feeling secure, feeling like everything has a purpose, everything has a reason, and everything has a derech, right? A little kid feels like their parents. They don't even realize it. They just feel like their parents are giving them a path, and that path is good, and they're on it, and they trust their parents, and everything's secure. And of course, the silly joke is that when we grow up, when we become parents, they think we know what we're doing. And really, all parents are just like trying to hold on for dear life and try to do the best they can, right? Which is the real joke of the whole thing. But the child, right, they feel wealth. They feel security. I was actually, funny story, I was recently in Winnipeg a few months ago, and I was visiting my mother over there, and I went and drove past the house that I grew up in over there, and I looked at this house, and this house is like so tiny. It's a tiny little hole in the wall, right? And I remember hearing stories like my father-in-law talking about how in Winnipeg he grew up on Selkirk Avenue, which was this old Jewish neighborhood, and they lived in like an apartment on top of a pizza store, and with a bunch of other apartments, and the whole building shared one bathroom, and they had fights with whatever. And I'm thinking how crazy these stories are, and then I'm going back to where I grew up and looking at this little tiny house. Right, the whole entire house is smaller than my current basement where the shul is. Right, and how did I feel as a child in that place? I didn't feel like I was lacking a single thing. Not a single thing. I didn't feel like there was not enough space. I didn't feel like there was anything lacking. Just a beautiful feeling of happiness, of security. Right? It didn't last, don't worry. I got a bit older, and soon I realized I was lacking all kinds of toys and you name it. I was lacking it, right? But in those beautiful years as a little child, right? So one of the key factors of this is this inyan of just knowing that I'm not worried about what's happening to me, because my tate is with me, my mommy's with me. She's taking care of me. She's got me on a path. So if something scary happens, I just grab my father's hand, I grab my mother's hand, and I'm okay. Right? As long as my father is with me, as long as my mother is with me, I'm okay. Right? This is how a kid feels. So this is what it means in the lashon that we said over here. Ahava shebadas la'aseh shalom ben ma'uraisav. Ahava shebadas, right? It's that, once again, das means a really deep, integrated, felt existence, something that I feel, that I live with. And it's a sense of ahava. It has an aspect of love to it. And it's this inyan of knowing that everything is okay. Everything has a purpose. Everything that's happening to me it's I don't know what's going to be, but I'm not worried, because my mommy is right beside me. My tate is right beside me. It's security. It doesn't matter. I know everything. I know they take care of me. Right? This is a beautiful aspect of Tamimus that the Tam has. Right? Whatever happens to the Tam, he's not worried, because he knows that it's meant for him. He has emunah, and he knows that whatever's happening is, I may not understand it, and it's scary, but I'm just holding on to my tati's hand. I'm holding on to my mommy's hand. So I'm going to be okay. It's okay. I'm fine. Security, spiritual wealth, emunah, simcha, and ava. All of these things are the characteristics of the Tam. And this is what the Chochom remembers. Right? This is what he remembers. And this is how the Tam is able to reconnect with him. Even though these two people don't look like they're meant for each other. Once again, it's Kim Kardashian walking into the Oscars, what would happen to the Golden Globes, holding the hand of a bum off the street. Right? It doesn't make sense. She would never do such a thing, probably. It's a good name, right? It's a good, it makes sense? Okay. Right? So why is she doing it? Why is she doing it? Why is the Chochom doing it over here? And it's because that remembering that he has, that memory is so powerful and so strong that the Tam is able to grab a hold of the Chochom and to reawaken something and to pull him in. This is the beginning of the tikkun, the potential tikkun of the Chochom. Beautiful. So, like Rabbi Nachman teaches in Torah Lamed Gimel, regarding the Nitzotzos HaKadosh Shenoiflim Heim B'Chachmos Hainu Machshavos Heipech HaDvekus B'Hashem. So we all know, we speak many times about the concept that everything we do is to elevate the Nitzotzos Kedusha, the sparks of holiness, right? So Rabbi Nachman says over there in Torah Lamed Gimel that these many times, probably all the time, but many times we realize that these sparks of Kedusha are fallen into places of this type of negative Chachma. These types of thoughts that we experience, what we're calling toxic consciousness, which are what? Thoughts that remove us from Dveikus B'Hashem. Whatever it is. Thoughts that take us away from Dveikus B'Hashem. Right? I was driving today for a number of hours, and I was I made a strong point to do some driving hisbodedus today, and this was a thought that hit me very, very, very strongly. That I just, over the last little while, I was so caught up in so many things. So many different things were pulling my brain one way or another. My brain, my attention, my emotions, everything, one way or the other. I felt like I was almost like reconnecting with Hashem. It's like, where have I been? You know, what did I just do for the last month? Where have I been? I have not been connected to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. I have not had any moments of devekis. Where have I been? Right? It's like I'm waking up from a dream, and here I am. Right? These are the thought. This is the opposite of timimus. This is removing us. This is the type of chochmah that is negative. This is the toxic consciousness. It takes us away from that sense that we are talking to Hashem, that we're walking with Hashem, that we're living with Hashem. Machshavos shel pirud, geus v'taivos. What are they? Thoughts of separation, meaning that I'm distant from Hashem, whatever that means. Geus, that means gaiva, arrogance, right? And taiva, and just physical desires. When I'm chasing after my physical desires, when I'm chasing after my own image, right? Those are the thoughts that are taking me away from Dvekas. I'm not holding my tati's hand when I'm doing those. I'm totally separate. U'lashaber kol zeh murcha hakapois hayetzer u'lakasher liboy l'daitoi v'limtzoi yemei toiv. I have to, in order to break through this, I have to force my yetzer, my urges, and I have to bind my heart to my mind, bind my heart to my das, and to find days of good. Meaning what? Meaning I have to go to this place. I have to remember. This is what's happening to the Chochom over here. I have to remember that I've been missing something. This is what I'm talking about, my experience today, right? I've been missing something this whole last few weeks. I'm so stressed. I'm in such a bad state. Where have I been? What have I been missing? This is what we have to do, and we have to find that, remember those good days, and know that I can get back to those good days. Like the pasuk says, "V'yadata hayoim v'ashevoisa alavavecha," that we have to take our thoughts and we have to bring them back into tamimus. I have to know today and put it onto my heart. Know today, v'yadata hayoim. Know the existence of today. Know that by living today, living in the moment, being present today, I can really put something onto my heart. I can become that person of tamimus again. This is the aspect of the Ahavas Neurim. This is what he remembers, right? Oh, you ever have such a bad day, such a stressful time, when you're just like, and you see little kids and you're like, oh, you guys have no idea how easy it is. And the truth is, we make a mistake because being a kid is super hard, and especially when you get into even above 5 or 6 years old, it starts to get very difficult to be a kid. The kids don't have autonomy and things are very hard, and you get to teenagers, oh my gosh, it's very, very hard. It's terrible to be a kid. But there is that time, there is that one chunk of time before we lose the princess, before we lose the simplicity, where it's sweet. And we all can feel it. We can all feel, I want to be back to that state of feeling. This is the Ava that we're talking about. That Hashem wants every person in the world. And everyone has this within them. Everybody feels this. Everybody knows this. It's a universal concept. The sweetness of this existence. It's a universal concept. Just like, we were going to skip this part over here. So, it's with this aspect that the Chochom and the Tam reconnect. This is the reason why the Chochma is open to the Tam. So there's a very important point over here. Now listen to this. That is very important. One second, let me just find the spot over here. So he says like this, that why is it, or it's very interesting, that now over here, the Chochom, it's like as if there's an opening. Something happened, right? And now the Chochom is ready to be together with the Tam. What happened over here? So he says like this. The next part of the story says, Vatam Hanal, Matza Le'ata, the Tam finds for himself Uvda Chadasha, a new job, a new way of living over here. What's he doing? He would run back and forth from his house to the house of the Chochom with Ava b'simcha and simcha, with love and happiness. And he saw that the Chochom had tremendous suffering in the hotel that he was staying in, the achsania that he was staying in. Come live in my house. Stay by me. You're so unhappy where you are. Come and stay by me. Right? So he says a very, very, very important and awesome idea over here. It says like this. There's a time when a person is filled with Yisurim, is filled with suffering. Right? And there's so many negative thoughts weighing on me. It's such a burden that I don't have any tam in my life. I don't have any good feeling in my life. I don't have a feeling of spiritual wealth. I don't have any menuchas nefesh. I have no peace. It's so hard. And he understands at that moment that I can't go on like this. I can't live like this. The Chochom realizes this. At that moment, the tam, the simple aspect, now has a new asik, a new uvda, asik. These words are hard to translate. A new job, a new thing to do to help the situation over here. What is it? L'sakin. So in order to fix up the Chochom. What you got? What did you say, Verd? A new chore, sure. Because this is how it works. When a person has Yisurin, efshar ledaber imoy sheyeshane es darkoi. It's possible at that point to speak to a person and that they should be able to change their ways. So he brings the Chochom into his house. So he brings the Chochom in his house so that he should taste from tamimus and amuna, from this holy simplicity and emunah. V'haderech avois hayeshana shahaya loy b'techila. Right, and the way of the fathers that they had beforehand, to remind him of the house of spiritual wealth that they had when they were young. So two things that he's saying over here that are really, really fantastic and important. So, first of all, anybody who has experienced this or is experiencing it now or is experiencing it through somebody else who's close to them will hear what I just said and be like, no, it's not the truth. I know someone who's suffering and they're not ready to hear this yet. It's not helping yet, right? You're right, because it has to be at the right point. And it's going to get to a point. The person's going to hit a point where they're going to be ready to hear it. But he's saying over here that there's a point when a person is going so far down this path of chachma, the sitra achra, of these types of toxic wisdoms, toxic consciousness, that it's going to build until it gets to a point where the person realizes, like, I have to change something. Whatever I've been doing is not working. Something has to change. And he says at this point that you have to. The Tam brings him into his house and gives him a taste of tamimus. Right. So I was thinking about this today. I jumped ahead a little bit, but he doesn't say. So that's the time to open up the book and start reading to him about the latest a Torah from the Kuti Moran, a Sikh from the Rebbe. Let's sit and learn a Gemara. Let's learn this. Let's learn that. That's not what it's about. He says, at that moment, the Tam realizes that he has an avodah to do, that he needs to bring him into his house and give him a taste of tamimus. When a person sees and feels that you have something sweet, and that you have something that takes all of that craziness and brings it down, melts it and breaks it, and allows you to live with a sense of menuchas hanefesh, of peace and simcha and ahava and ashirus, right? And you're able just to they use in education, they use the term model that behavior. You're able to be an example. You're able to show. And you're able to speak in a way, not that I'm telling you what to do, right? It's an important point. Most of the time, I would say, not sometimes, most of the time, when someone is struggling, even if they come to you for advice, most of the time, they don't want to be told what to do. They don't want to be told why they're wrong. And they don't want to be told how they're being stupid and they have to change. Right? But if they can feel that you have something, if you can give them something with your heart, he's telling us over here, it's not concepts, it's not facts that he told him over that fixed it over here. It's ahavas haneurim. He remembers the love that you shared when you were children. Right? If you can awaken that ahava shebedas, once again, das is not intellectual facts that I've stored up like a biology test. Das means it's something that I live with, that I feel, that's part of me. If you can help by showing and awakening within somebody that sense, this is the beginning. This is how we're going to have a positive effect on a person. Ooh-wee. So that's a bit scary. Why? Because it means you got to be doing it yourself, right? Yeah, you got to be really, right? It's very, very often impossible to change a person, and I've seen it many times, where a person says, "Wow, really." I've had it happen to me a few times, and I've heard of it happening to people that I know, where someone will say to them, "You know what? I really support what you're doing. You know why? Even though it's not my style, what you're doing, and it's not, you know why I support you? Because I see that whatever you're doing has made you a better person. I see whatever you're doing has made you a better husband, has made you a better spouse, a better parent. I can feel it. I can see it, right? That is something that is impactful, as opposed to talking down to people and telling them what's wrong with them. Doesn't work so well. Yeah. Okay, let's go back a little bit, back into Rav Kivak over here. This that can appear to a person can feel like, I'm never getting out of here. It's hopeless. How am I going to get out of this feeling? He says he's teaching us over here. It's not beyond you. Lo b'shamayim. It's not far away. You can get into this state of mind. You can fix this. You can nullify this whole existence at the moment that the tam comes into your wagon. Right? As long as you bring that tamimus in there, it can wipe out that whole terrible existence of toxic consciousness. This is one more time. Beautiful point. What is real chachma? Real chachma is when a person allows that ahava shebedas to come in and knows that all wisdom is only wisdom if it is what? Rak laha'ir es halev. Only if it illuminates my heart. Or as we said earlier on, the Chochom and the Tam, in their youth, when things are balanced and are going the way they're supposed to go, the Chochom and the Tam love each other, and they go together. But when does it work? Only when the Chochom realizes that all of the Chochma is only good. I should only be using it if it is going to lead to and build tamimus. if it's going to build purity and simplicity. If not, run away. That's the wrong kind of chachma. If it's going to make me start thinking thoughts of what's going to be and who's going to do this and worries and fears and mishuga and overthinking and all this craziness, forget it. It's done. Rabbit hole thoughts are not for us. Right? Yeah, that's right. You heard it. Right? But if that chokhmah is going to illuminate my simplicity, is going to bring me to a place, illuminate my heart, then it's good. The wisdom is there only if it's there to teach us how to serve Hashem, how to be connected to Hashem. In another one of his, I have like a simpler version of Rav Kivak's commentary on the story over here, and he says that the whole purpose is, if the Chochmah is there, is going to bring me to a state of dveikis, of being with Hashem, living with Hashem, is good. If not, run away from it. Run away from it. It's not good. Valamaisa licha is chayim rakim tamimus. So rak luma va'afilu yesh la agala mala geus v'kefir v'chachma shagala sa'adam hu matzius daita. So what does the agala mean? The cart, the wagon that we're talking about over here is referring to a person's das, a person's thoughts, the state of one's mind. Right? So if I have tamimus in there, then the chachma, and the chachma is there just to build that tamimus, it's good. Aval Rabbeinu Mesaper sheyacholin lif'ol shatam yashav yeshev sham b'toich hamoichin shaloi. It's okay, even if you're a person who's struggling with chachma, if you bring the tam in, and the tam lives there in the wagon with you, you bring that tam into your mind, you can be successful, you can do it. Yesh lanu koyach pashut lakach es hachacham ulevatloi v'lishbor es yisurav. We have the power, we do, to take that chacham, break him, mevatel him, and destroy all the suffering caused by him. We can do it. We just have to follow this path. We have to do what Rabbi Nachman's telling us over here. And so, what happens in the story is Vashnei Balabatim, the two householders, Avihem Shalela, the fathers of the two of them, they died. Mesu. During the time when the Chacham was out running around the world, chasing wisdom, chasing vanity, chasing pointy shoes and fancy pants, right? Diamonds, doctorates, right? Approval, whatever he was looking for. The whole time, during that time, their fathers died. V'nisharu habatim shalahem, and the houses remained. V'atam shahaya b'mekoymoi nichnas lebeis aviv v'yirashai. The tam went into the house of his father and inherited it. He made it. He made it part of him. V'achacham shahaya b'medinas, but the chacham who was out gallivanting around, lo hayamila kabel abayis. There was no one to take the house, to take control of the house. V'naisa kale va'avud beis hachacham, and so the house of the chacham became destroyed and lost. It became overgrown and fell apart. Nothing remained of the house of his father. And he didn't have a place to go, so he went into a certain achsanya, an inn, a hotel. And there he had tremendous yisurin. Why? Because it wasn't the way he wanted it. It wasn't to his liking. This, by the way, at this point, Rav Arush says over here on page 204, I think, that you're seeing, right before that actually, page 203, that just Pashat Pshat over here, right, is that you see that the Tam is happy with what he has. He goes back to his father's house. He doesn't run around the world looking for something and never just trying to find happiness and peace with where he's supposed to be. He's always looking elsewhere, right? The Tam stays home, moves into his father's house, inherits the spiritual wealth of his father, inherits his traditions, inherits his wisdom, inherits his path. And with this, he's happy. And he has this place to live. The Chacham, on the other hand, he doesn't take that. He doesn't take that beautiful spiritual path, that place of wealth and stability, and he has nothing. He's never happy. Wherever he goes, he doesn't feel good. He doesn't feel at peace because he doesn't have that path. So, where does it say this over here? There's a beautiful idea over here. We're going to get to it. Yeah, we'll get to it shortly. So let's say like this. What's going on with him over here? So there's a word that Rabbi Nachman uses. Remember, Rabbi Nachman wrote these stories originally in Yiddish, right? So very often Rav Kivak will use the Yiddish words in order to teach something, right? So currently the word, who knows how to say hotel in Yiddish right now? Anybody? It's a very complicated word. It's a hotel. Hotel, right? But there's a few older words for hotel in Yiddish. But one of them is this word that is I think you'd pronounce it probably arbirik. Arbirik. Aleph, Reish, Beis, Yud, Reish, Yud, Kuf. That's the word that Rabbi Nachman uses for hotel, like an older word for like an inn, a hotel, a place of lodging, a hostel, something like that, right? So he says that hinted to within this word is the words bereik. He has within him, he's empty inside. He's empty at this point. Maram is bereik that hu inyan shviras hakelim. The Chochom went off, and he went totally aside from the path of his fathers, and he's living in a world of only things happen by nature and by the stars, and there's no God, there's no nothing. This is the way Rabbi Nachman talks about the things that happen, the sufferings that a person has when they're living this type of life. There's no meaning. There's no hashgacha pratis. There's no nothing. Everything, it's like atheism, right? Nothing means anything. Nothing, when I die, that's it. It's done. It's over, right? My soul came from nowhere. I don't have a soul. I'm a bunch of cells that came together and made this weird guy. And then I'm going to be gone, and that's it. Whatever I left that people will see, that's all that there is left of me, right? So this is the feeling of I'm empty, of emptiness. There's no meaning. Remember, let's go back to the very special words of Viktor Frankl, right? Man's search for meaning, right? That no matter what a person is dealing with, it's not about what they have or what they don't have. It's whether they're able to find meaning in what they're experiencing. And we said this many times throughout this Chochom and Tam, that a person will never be happy. A person will never be happy if they don't feel like they're doing something meaningful. If I feel like what I'm doing is meaningful, is making a difference somehow, even if it's just to me, to my family, to my community, whatever it is. If I don't feel like I'm doing something meaningful, I will not be happy ever. Right? We all have to feel like we're doing what the Rebbeinu Shalom put us here for. And if a person is living in this place of ani reik, I'm empty, I'm nothing, there's no meaning, there's no nothing, right? It's impossible to be happy. It's impossible to have a feeling of accomplishment. So this is where he lives. And he says, Weiter, Ki chol sheresh timimusai, hu mizeh sheyesh loi beis ha'av. The whole, on the other hand, the tam, the root of his tamimus, the root of his existence, is that he has a beis av. He has a root. He has a house that he came from. Shezoicher es habayis hagadol shel avi. He remembers the great house of his father. Yesh chutz v'yesh pnim. There's an outside and there's an inside. Yesh binyan mechitzos hamoichin. There's a building. There's walls within my mind. Pina chama lanafshoy bli einayim gedolos. There's a nice warm corner in my house, without where I don't have to have. I don't worry about what I have over there. What's he saying over here? He's speaking very very kind of metaphorically over here about what it means to have a beis av, to have that house of a shirus. Right? When you have a house, what do you have? It's actually a good lesson for how a person's house should be. A house is a place of security. A house is a place where I know there's an outside and there's an inside. The inside is the place where my family is safe. It's the place where I can keep the negative forces out. This is how we should try to model our houses, right? Where, okay, you're going down the street and you're seeing all kinds of crazy things on advertisements and you're seeing in the news everything that's happening, but when you come in through the doors, that stuff goes bye-bye. In here, we're a place of warmth, we're a place of security, we're a place of purity, of tamimus, right? You can have an outside and an inside. You can put up mechitzas, walls in your moichin, in your thoughts. There's certain things, just like a house, there's certain things I allow in and certain things I don't allow in. I can do that in my mind. I can say, you know what? I'm not going to allow myself to be subjected to 24 hours of fearful, angry, depressing news. Just the cycle repeating over and over again. I'm not going to allow all of this ridiculous pull of social media things that can be literally wipe out in a person's entire day, never mind, person's entire life. Right? I'm not going to allow it to keep running through over and over. I'm putting up walls in my moichin, in my intellect. Certain things in, certain things not. Forget it. This is a sacred place, let's say. Right? And I love this line over here. Pina chama lenafshai. I have a nice corner. Anybody know the singer, Israeli singer, Akiva Turjuman? Right? Beautiful, beautiful, amazing. I think he's my favorite Jewish singer at the moment. He writes songs that are very, very, they're very metaphorical very often, not just like standard Jewish songs that are, sort of one-dimensional. And he has a song called Pshutim. You can look it up. And if you would listen to it the first time, you would think it's not a religious song whatsoever. You'd think it's him talking about just his house, his family, and his wife in a way that maybe does not sound religious. But if you know him, and he's the one, by the way, who he wrote a whole song just about the story of the lost princess. Right? It's called Al Tazvi Yadayim. Right? Don't give up. Really, is what it means. Anyway, one of the things he says in the song is he says, Bayit v'sir al ha'ish. He's talking about these like simple pleasures that are meaningful. And one of them is to have a house with a kettle sitting on the fire. Right? He's not just saying that it's nice to have a kettle in your house, so you can always have tea. He's talking about what? Seer sometimes, yeah. It's also a kettle. Different. Meaning what? You have a place where you go in and there's security, there's warmth, there's comfort. I have a place where I can go and I feel relaxed. I feel secure. I feel complete. Right? I know a person who was going through such difficulty, and they had to be somewhere. They lost a loved one, and their family lived in another city, but they were going through very, very difficult times. And this person said, this goes along with what we're saying over here, I can't go and spend the Shiva with my family because I need so much right now to be in my own space. Because this person is going through so many difficulties. They need that security, that comfort. Right? A home, a base av means I have. What does it mean for us? It means I have, another place he says, it means I have the tzaddikim. I have the Torah of the tzaddikim. I have a place of security. I have a place where I can go and I can block everything else out. And I can bring into myself the Yerusha, the inheritance from my fathers. I can bring in the Torah that comes into me, and when we learn some of this Torah from Rabbi Nachman, and it's like, oh, I needed that. This is the place where I can hear this Torah, and I can say, yes, this is how it's supposed to be. This is what I need. This is how to live life. That is a Yerusha from Beis Av. That's an inheritance from our forefathers. It's a place that tells me what should come in and what should stay out. It's a place that reminds me what is comforting and what is not. What should I chase after? What should I not chase after? This is all of the stuff that the Tam has. And the Chochom threw it all away and went after everything else in the world. All of the shiny objects, all of the social medias, all of the followers, all of the fancy cars, all of the degrees and doctorates and showing everybody how great I am, right? This is where the Chochom went. And the Tam drank it all in, all the good stuff. So this is where they find themselves. Aval Beis HaChacham, Kulei, Kale Va'aven. The house of the Chochom is destroyed and lost, abandoned. Ki nela mimenu shefa chesed. He lost the flow of chesed, of loving kindness from Hashem. Sheikar shefa chesed shenisha la'adam hu bechinas habayis. The main shefa flow of divine loving kindness that remains for a person is this aspect of the house, in their heim. Laleches bedarchei avos, to walk in the ways of the fathers. V'ha'aras hadas shel hatzadikim shu ikar yishuv das ha'adam. And the fact that the words of the tzadikim can light up our minds, can light up our complete existence. That this is the place, this is the way that we're going to find yishuv hadas. This is the way we're going to find peace. This is the way we're going to find the ability to be settled, to be in such a state of menucha, such a state of simcha and emunah. This is the way to get into the state of tamimus. And the Chochom, Mamish, threw it all away. He threw it all away. So we're at the point in the story, like we said at the beginning, where the Tam is bringing it back and sees what the Chochom is going through. I just want to remind us, we'll finish off with this. There's a lot more to say, but we'll finish off with this for now. That, remember, we all know this, but the Chochom and the Tam are not two different people. The Chochom and the Tam are both within us. We all have a range of Chochom and Tam within us. Sometimes, unfortunately, we're the Chochom full on. And sometimes we're living and we're tasting the sweetness of living like the Tam. Right? And sometimes we're working things out. Right? But when we're saying over here that the Tam sees the suffering of the Chochom. And the Tam says, you know what? What are you doing over there? Move in with me. Come and taste the life of Tamimos. Move into my house. Right? So, two things happen over here. It's that point where we realize, like the Chochom realized, that I'm in such pain. It's so difficult. Things are so hard. I can't go on like this. That's the one side of us. And the other side of us remembers that there's something there. There's something sweet. There's something amazing. And I know I can get it. I know I can grasp it. And it's time to move in, to inject those thoughts into the Chochom. Let them take over, right? Let that be the bias. Remember, I have a house. I have a place of security. I have a place of warmth. And that's the place of emunah, of simcha, of ava. It's the place of beis av, of all of this beautiful Torah of the tzaddikim. Right? And it's the place of removing all of those chachmas that take us away from it. All those thoughts that I have, that I think it has to be the way I want it to be. That I'm always upset that things aren't going exactly the way they should. I'm not accepting what's happening. I'm always looking to something else. I'm always criticizing instead of trying to reawaken love. All of these aspects are the aspect of a house. So the point of change that we're living with right now is that I remember I have a house. I am the Tam. I can be a person of Tamimus. I have an inheritance. And that is going to become the base. That is going to be, I'm making a decision. That is my place. That's my home. That's my existence. And now, you know what? When the thoughts of the toxic consciousness come to me, what am I going to do? I'm going to say, you know what? That is suffering. It's not going well for you, for this aspect. Come into the house. Come into the base of. Come into our home base. which is a place of tamimus, place of love, a place of simcha, a place of emunah. And with this change of thought, this is the beginning of the place where the Chochom can change. In our story, it's going to be that he doesn't. And we're going to see a very, very, very powerful reason why he doesn't change, beginning next week's class, of the very beginning of it. Very, very special, important reason. But the main reason, you know what? Let's just say the words now so we can prepare ourselves for next time, because it's so awesome. It is so awesome. He says like this: Ki hiniach shem shehu chacham muflag v'uman v'doktor v'gadol me'od. Because Rav Arush translates this differently. It says, he translates it that it became known that he was a magnificently intelligent man, a craftsman, and a very great doctor. But you could say it differently. Ki hiniach shem, that he couldn't let go of that name that he had. That he's a very wise person. He's a doctor. He's what is he? Chacham muflag, a fantastically intelligent person, a craftsman, a gem cutter, a diamond expert, a gold expert. He's a doctor. He couldn't let go. Lo hiniach lo shem. He couldn't get rid of this name. That name remains, and so long that he can't let go of that. He can't let go of ego. He can't let go of things have to be my way. Things have to be only to make me look good in other people's eyes. He couldn't let it go. So it's going to be that he doesn't come out good in the end. But this would have been the opportunity for him to get out, right? So Amir Hashem, next week we'll speak about this whole inyan of the name and what that means to us. It obviously is very powerful, and we'll take it from there. Any comments, questions?